Midjourney releases new versions regularly. You might not see the differences between these two. It also depends what you are prompting. I wouldn't necessarily say that version 6 is better in every aspect. The two biggest differences for me when it comes to 5.2 and 6 is that 5.2 was much more creative. I had a lot of artistic liberties that I saw that Midjourney was taking, and then in version 6 the photorealistic aspect is way better. Like the detail of the photography is just insane. But this is actually the first time that I'm not just sticking to the latest update, but I'm switching between the latest and the previous one for different projects and for different things that I'm working on, because both of them are actually really good. If you just compare where Midjourney started with version 1 and then where it is now with version 6, it is actually insane. So if I go back to my yellow Smeg fridge, the prompting in Midjourney 6 is much better, and the capability of Midjourney to really capture what you ask from it is better. So the more detailed your prompt is, the better quality image you're going to get. So let's use the example of adding text. In version 5.2, it really tried, but I couldn't get the Smeg out of it. In version 6, I could still not get the Smeg, but you can see that Midjourney is actually trying. It knows that something is supposed to be there, but it doesn't get it quite right. The moment I add more text, so say now I want to add a red post-it note with remember written in a black marker pen. On version 5.2, it didn't even stick to the red note on the fridge. It got me a whole bunch of post-it notes on a board. In version 6, I got Midjourney to give me my red post-it note on the fridge with the kitchen in the background, fantastic, but without quotation marks, I couldn't get the text right. When I added the quotation marks, then there was one image out of the 4 that actually gave me the remember one. This is really not a bad image, although I'm still losing my Smeg letters, but this is something that you could easily fix in Photoshop. In terms of photorealistic, version 6 really produces much better images. If you can just compare these two images on the screen, you can see the detail in the man's face from version 6 is so much more than in version 5.2. It's almost unnatural, so there's a fine line between getting it to look so realistic, but it doesn't look fake. So again, Photoshop, Canva, this always comes in very handy to just adjust or manipulate your images afterwards. However, depending what you want, you might actually prefer version 5.2. So I've prompted a Great Dane with a kind of mysterious background. I mean, just look at what it looked like on version 1 and 4, which actually shows you where Midjourney pulls images from. You can see the text of Shutterstock on this image, which is why there's so much legislation going on about, copyright of Midjourney images or other generative AI for that matter. But if you look at version 5.2 of the Great Dane versus version 6, the detail in 6 is really great, but I prefer the image in 5.2 because it really captures that kind of dreamy, magical feel that I wanted. And in that sense, the liberty that Midjourney is taking in 5.2 to be a little bit more creative, I prefer that in this instance. And this is another benefit of 5.2. You can get away with minimal prompts and a lot of creativity. So take for instance, this is now a field of flowers. I've prompted Midjourney 5.2 and 6 the same way. Straight away, 5.2's image is much better, whereas version 6 was kind of like, I don't really know what you want from me, so I'm going to give you an image, but 5.2 is like, hey, I'm going to run with it. This is your image of flowers, which is much nicer. But you can see it took the liberty of adding a little girl, which I did not ask for. Now, when the prompting becomes more detailed, I've added a whole lot of additional parameters. I've added some specifics about the color and the contrast. Now compare version 5.2 with a field of flowers to version 6. I still don't think 5.2 is very far behind. I really like the images. And then I thought, let me try the stylize parameter, which is the amount of creativity you allow Midjourney to take. And in this instance, I still prefer 5.2. The contrast that's coming out of these pictures, I still think it looks better, and I prefer this over version 6. But that is personal choice. You might actually prefer version 6. But let's test the photorealistic aspects of version 6 that is set to be leaps and bounds ahead of 5.2. So I've input this prompt where I want a little Indian girl with straight black hair, blowing bubbles. I described a little bit of the scenery, and initially this is what I got from version 5.2 versus version 6. Immediately you can see that in 5.2 it did not really listen to my prompt. This girl has curly hair, she doesn't have straight hair. It took the color blocking, which is the contrast, more at heart. So you can see there's more contrast in these pictures. But version 6 really listened to my prompt. I've got the little Indian girl. I mean, you can see not all of them look completely Indian, but I've got the straight hair. She's a young little girl. I've got a white flowy dress. The lighting is just amazing from the instructions that I gave Midjourney. And I will actually say that this picture is my ultimate favorite between the two, which is version 6. So I hope that gives you a little bit of clarity between the versions. I don't think there's a one is better than the other one. Every new version is obviously going to have new things that's coming out, but there are certain aspects of the older versions that might actually appeal to you more on different projects. There's no reason to have to stick to the same version. And what is really easy, if you prompt in Midjourney, instead of having to switch between the different versions in settings, you can literally just use it as a parameter, using the parameter --v, a space, and then the version that you want to use, whether it is 5.2 or 6. If you want to learn more about prompting with relevant parameters, check out my top 5 parameters that I'm using here with great examples. And as always, happy prompting. I'll see you next time.